Is it all good to go?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Fantastic. Okay, so you're going to have a different flavor of session today, and that's about my journey to the certification. Um, I have learned that, many of the consultants, they quite busy doing their job, what they are good with, but there are some certification areas are lacking, or maybe they don't have the direction to go through. This session covers pretty much from basic to get to the certification and the benefits of certification. So I hope this is going to be really useful to you guys. So first, start with about me. So I have a 21 plus years of IT experience. That includes a range of experience, certified and experienced enterprise and solution architect. I have MCT as a certification. You can see lots of badges here. So I just love doing certification, not because of the badges, but for the reason it actually fills your knowledge gaps. So many times you're doing a lot of implementation, a lot of projects. It doesn't mean that customer has all the areas covered. Sometimes they don't use certain functionality. So in your next project, it becomes a little bit of steep learning curve. So what I do time to time, I just give those exams, renew it. I dedicated my time to learn towards it. You don't really have to go and spend money towards exam unless your employers or you have some sort of support. But learning is really important. And that's where Microsoft has contributed a lot of things nowadays, and that could be really useful for us. So I have a number of current roles. I'm not going to go into the too deep, but I have a hobby of flying and photography, videography. That's what I do in my free time whenever I get it. Okay, so what we're going to cover today in terms of the agenda. So introduction to the Business Central certification path, my journey to certification and learning path, how I planned it, how I made it success. And that is very important because I came from zero knowledge on a Business Central. And within like 6 to 8 weeks time, I turned it around. But at the same time, doing my day-to-day job, same time, I'm keeping myself up to date with Azure, Power Platform, Dynamics 365, other areas, and so on. I will also cover the skills measured in this exam, what is covered and what is not covered. So you can concentrate if you are really targeting only certification, you can concentrate on those skills. But I will recommend still learn all of the corners and areas of the Business Central. I'll take you through the Microsoft Learn journey. There are 270 plus courses or modules, what you can call, and I'll show you how you can actually get to it. You got the Business Central documentation, which is really, really important. I know it's many people telling me that it's really boring, lots of tech savvy, but trust me, it is really important for you to make yourself really expert. And there are people nowadays contributing a lot on the documentation. So not only the Microsoft employees, but there are a lot of other experts, subject matter experts contributing to those open docs now. So I'll show you how you can measure it. Some certification tips, because you can all pretty much cover everything in the skills measured, but there are some additional tips based on my experience with exam, experience from other people's who have taken this exam. And we'll do a small quick demo if time permits, how we can set up a trial environment. Because many times what happens, you don't want to try these new features or any configuration or anything using organization's environment, or something you want to spend money towards it. But Microsoft does give you 30 days free trial, and with the request, you can actually extend a little bit further. I don't have the exact time, but I managed to finish everything, all my trial learnings and everything within that 30 days. So I didn't have to extend it. So this is a more like a certification, poster. there's a QR code, so I'm going to keep this for a minute. If you want to scan it with your mobile, you can actually download this poster and you can track or plan your certification journey. This is where one certification sits here, which is related to Dynamics 365 Business Central Functional Consultant Associate. I haven't seen any other further plan for releasing any developer-specific exams or any beta exams. I haven't seen it yet, but we can keep an eye on it. Microsoft definitely will release something. There are a lot of revisions happening on the exams. Nowadays, like, the certification, whatever you give, has expiry date. So that makes sure that, like, you are keeping yourself up to date, because Microsoft releasing a lot of new features time to time, and I'm sure you'd love to keep yourself up to date with that as well. Okay, so some basic introduction. I'm sure everyone on this call knows what is Business Central, but just in case if someone is newbie, for them, Business Central is a business management solution for small and mid-sized organizations, which has like multiple modules, what we call it, or the areas, which is financial management, self-service management, supply chain, reporting, operations, and project management. And if we go to learning part, what I did to certify myself. So first thing comes with plan it properly. If you don't plan it properly, you can go to a wrong direction. So plan it properly according to your best fit ways. Like, sometimes I can plan it, but it doesn't fit your schedule or your way of learning. So make sure you plan accordingly. So first of all, I would do in my plan I did is understand exam structure and the skills measured. So it's a multi-choice questions. I had 47 questions. It varies number of the questions depending on the weightage of the marks. There are some questions are like one single selection, multi-selection, drag and drop into like in a sequence. How you achieve it? Say for example, if you want to print something or report or something, how would you do this? What are the steps you need to perform to get to the solution? So in terms of the weightage, in terms of the markings, so if you have a one selection out of 4 or 5, that has a strict mark. You get it or you don't get it. It's simple. If you have a multi-choice, one of the answer is correct, you still get the marks. If one of the option you selected wrong, you don't get the mark for it. But if you select all correct, you get marks for all of them. And the sequence, some questions does tell you that you need to particularly follow the correct sequence, and some questions do ask you that, like, it doesn't really matter what sequence it is, but as long as you have all the options dragged there into the correct box, and that could solve, like, that could earn you good marks on it. The next thing I did, understanding the Business Central, but also started with the Microsoft Learn and review module. So you will see two elements here, deep dive and the review module. The reason I'm saying review module, that could actually influence your plan, because there are a number of modules, number of learning parts. You must plan it. I'll show you in the next slides how it's been divided into different sections. Then you set a goal, certification date, say by this date. Without a goal, you're never going to achieve it, because I know many colleagues, many friends, they say, oh, I'm learning Business Central for or some another product for a year now, but I haven't managed to get myself certified because they didn't set a date when they want to get the certification achieved. So I always recommend set a goal. Then do a deep dive. Now this is time to do the deep dive, because this particular for the Business Central, Microsoft Learn takes you through number of journeys. In that journey, the first learning path you go through, it actually take you through how to set up a trial license and trial environment, and how would you learn it? What type of licensing structure is it? So all this basic knowledge it will give you in the initial learning parts, and then you do a deep dive step by step. So you set up a Business Central trial. It is important. So you learn, practice, learn, practice. That's your normal routine with this Business Central. For me, I had to follow that because I didn't have the full background about what is finance, what is operations, what is project management, what are the manufacturing and all this. Even if I have delivered number of solutions in the retail, where the warehouse management and number of solutions I designed it for financial management, but still you must do this practice in this actual trial environment. Without that, you won't be able to answer certain questions, which typically ask you how would you do this? And so in that type of question, you must know those corners and areas which actually teaches you how you can resolve the problem if there are anything comes across. Practice along with Microsoft Learn. So yeah, it's both. It's a balance out. Sometime you finish one learning path or one module and then just let straight go into the trial version, try out, and that's the way to learn. So after that, the next stage, I would recommend you review the skills measured, your progress. So just follow a tick box activity and revise your plan if needed. So in some situation, you might need to revise your plan because you might have not planned it or something. And then you get additional help from the Microsoft Docs. So go for in a Microsoft Docs and do a little bit of deep dive there. And I'll show you that how you can actually go through that. Adopt healthy study cycle. So now you learned about Business Central, but now you have eaten your food. Now you need to digest it properly. So this is how I translate it. So it's a healthy study cycle. So you study, practice, take some breaks, again study, practice, take some break. And this is how I actually enjoyed learning Business Central, not really doing too much heavy lifting and get put off myself. And then getting ready for exam, because we already have the date. So give at least a week in between to calm yourself down, revise whatever you needed, whatever you think you are weak at. Just try and revise those modules and go for MB 800 exam and get yourself passed. Once you get certification, share it, show it up. Okay, so what is learning path? So in learning plan, what I did, I spent about 100+ hours of learning. Sorry, it's spread it. That's my bad. But spread it across 8 weeks of timing. Additional SME knowledge, because in some areas, I wasn't aware of what is account terms or what is ledger. I came from that background where I actually put a lot of time learning ledgers and general ledgers and all the financial terms, warehouse management, logistics, and all this stuff, how we can actually integrate additional ISVs, how we can extend the functionality, which is not really asked in this exam in terms of the development. It's because this is mainly targeted for the functional area. But I just wanted to learn every corner to make sure I'm fully prepared and I don't have any surprises when I go for the exam. So what are the skills measured? So there are 4 key areas. One is you actually need to understand how you set up Business Central, and that's you learn it from the trial version. And those basic knowledge you need, which covers pretty much 20-25%. Once you set up the trial version, you then go through different step or wizards, setting each and every all the basic setups, all your calendar settings and financial settings and year setting, all this stuff. You actually go through that step by step, and that's where Microsoft Learn really help you in that. You configure financials. That's 25-30%. Then you configure sales and purchasing, that's 10-15%, and then you perform Business Central operations. This is a heavy weighted, so it's about 30-35%. Don't try and do say, okay, this is 10-15%, I'm going to skip it, and I'm only going to concentrate on only 3 areas. Don't do that. Try and cover everything, because Microsoft says 10-15%. You might have a 2 question, you might have a 5 question. But in total mark weightage or the numbers you get, it's based on this percentage. They try and follow that as much as possible on it. So what are the skills measured in setting up a business central? So you create and configure a new company. That includes like creating a new company in the on-premise version. It's just a knowledge. You're not going to get the trial license for it, but it's for the online version you can do. So then the next step comes is to create a new company in the cloud-based version by assisted setup. So that's one of the area you need to learn. Then you create new company by copying data from an existing company. So they give you one company set up with some sorts of data, trial data, test data, what you call it. So you have a view of it. So before you even start those exercises, you can actually review how that company has set up. Then describe the use cases and capability of rapid start services. That's something you can cover in this one. You also have configuration worksheets. You describe the process of migrating data, create export configuration packages, importing it, journal opening balances, how you can create it, how you migrate on-premise data to cloud, and validate migrated data by using trial balances, and so on. You also have the second area, which is the managed security. Obviously, every element you set up, you need to make sure you set up your users. So how do you start the user setup? Where do I go? I go to Office 365 and then assign the license. That's the way to set up. So you need to learn how you do it. How you set up new user and user groups, because user groups is one of the best way to assign group of users and with the licenses. Create and assign permission sets, permissions, apply security filters. Those are the stuff covered in managed security. Then you have set up core app functionality, which includes company information, emails, number series, report selections, printers for on-premise and cloud-based installations, and so on. Then you have different dimensions you need to set up. So like dimensions and dimension values, size, product, details, global dimensions, shortcut dimensions, default dimension for a single account or multiple accounts, dimension for account types, and block combinations for dimension or dimension values, and so on. And the last one, it covers the setup and manage approvals by using workflows, which is setup purchase documents approval system, sales document approval system, document approvals, notification, and any sorts of approval hierarchy you need to maintain. Now, like all this detail, if you want to actually grab a document, how I'm doing this, because I'm going to skip other slides very quickly. So let me just drag view here. So if I just go to say, this is my MB800 exam page, which is and I can just go to MB800 in Google or any other search engine and then search for it. This is the page you'll end up here. That's where you schedule your exam, but there is a skill measured here. So you got the area where you can click on this link and that will get you a PDF. This PDF really helped me because this is my checklist. I tick boxed it as soon as I learned something and then just go on. Now, I will remind you for the certification, review this spreadsheet, the PDF file or the checklist at least once 2 weeks, because Microsoft does revise very frequently. And why? Because they releases new feature and it's getting available in general availability that may get included in the exam. So you must review that before you attend your exam. And then you have the next thing. I will come to this one and let you know how that works. So you got the financial one, which is all this journey, which is 25 to 30%. These are the topics. Then you have sales and purchasing, which is 10 to 15%. It's got setup inventory, configure master data, pricing, discounts, any sales line invoicing discounts, or any purchase line and invoicing discount. As long as I remember, in the learning path, there is one of the complex area comes is how you apply discounts to the orders, and how do you calculate in certain situation how the discount will apply. So say for example the order been placed before this date and the order fulfilled after this date, but the discount applies on those when the order placed. So these are the complex scenarios you need to learn, and also learn about the vendor settings, order address, order lead time, because the delivery also affects if the discount covers the fulfillment as well. So those are the elements you need to cover in your learnings. You got operations, which is the biggest area. And that includes the basic task, including the purchase item, selling item, and the financial documents, which is invoices, credit memos, shipments into a single invoice or multiple invoice, also the payment and journals. So you got the how you maintain the cash receipt. So for example, your customer has a stores where they only handle cash payment. How would you set that up? You have a different customer ledger entries, bank reconciliation, process general journals entries, and so on. So there are a lot of things you need to learn. So also the best thing in terms of the inventory costing, I would recommend spend some time on learning the relationship between items, item ledger entries, value entries, cost, automatic cost posting and expected cost posting. Just try and understand that area. So that will give you more confidence on that. What is not covered? So in most cases, they say most cases, exam do not cover any preview features. In my experience, I haven't seen that any preview features have included within the exam. But some features will only be added to an exam when they are generally available, so general availability. Any new features announced in roadmap, so say in 3 weeks, 4 weeks is available, pretty much it fulfills from the first point as well. And any ISV solution, any third-party solution, they do not ask you any details about the third-party solutions, but they might ask you what would you do to integrate the payment? What kind of solution would you fulfill in? You don't have to name on it, or the options doesn't mention the name, but it just gives you the process and the steps you perform. So far, any questions on what is covered? I just want to make it more interactive. I don't want everyone to go to sleep.
We're good, Narayan. We're cool. You can continue.
Fantastic. Okay, so Microsoft Learn. This is kind of a big blessings came from Microsoft about 2 years ago, I believe, when they announced it, and slowly it has evolved a lot. And every exams I have given, Microsoft Learn has given me a best helping hand, I would say. So how would we do it? So before I actually give you the demo, let me just give you some high-level overview. So for Business Central, we have 12 learning paths that covers all the requirement you needed, pretty much everything. But that's not enough for the exam. The reason I'm saying that, one, you need learning, but you need a practice. You still need to have understanding of how the menu looks like, where the actual icon you're clicking, how you actually dragging and dropping some of the option, how you're configuring. So practice is important. So trial license is must. And that's why I told you, you must plan it, because that might be only available for 30 days. If you don't hit that target within 30 days or another extension dates, you're going to lose that trial license, and that could affect your exams. 270 plus modules, over 12 learning paths. And in total, if you are really just dedicated to it, there are 30 plus hours. So I would say about only Microsoft Learn could take you about 35, somewhere approximately 35 hours to go through individual pages. And that's for the fast learners. So if you are a slow learner, I'll double the time. So that's how it measured. And what other learning paths include? So this is a list. You don't need to memorize this one, or you don't even need that list from me. It's available online. But that includes, like, example, get started with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. It's got the 3 modules, and 3 modules pretty much take you through the journey of setting up online trial license, giving you high level understanding of some of the licensing terms and some of the basic knowledge. And that must be there. They don't give you any deep dive on the licensing or any other area. So you must understand that, for example, there are 2 types of licenses, essentials and premium. What covered in essentials and what's in premium. The reason is they might put you scenario-based question and say, okay, this particular company has 50 users, they are all essentials, and now they have a requirement of manufacturing. Where does that cover? So you might need to answer those kind of questions as well. So these are the 12 learning parts, and let me just show you how that's spread across. So what I do when I go into this MB 800 page, I'm sure everyone must have seen it, but if not, then here it is, online learn. You got 2 type of courses. One, you can pay for it and you get instructor-led training, or you can learn yourself with a free online learning. Every learning path you go, there are a number of modules, and it also tells you, like, who's it targeted to. So pretty much like everyone, like a beginner or intermediate, functional consultant, Dynamics 365. So these are about 12 learning paths. Every learning path you can actually add into your queue. So these are the features available. I would strongly recommend, if you have an MCP ID and you have an associated email address, use that, sign in that before you start this. You just earn XP point. I don't know what that means to it, but you'll earn XP points, and it also track your progress. So that's very important because you want to track your progress. So once you go into the learning path, I just click on it, and then it actually takes you to the start and go through the collection. And also it has all the list of titles you will be learning. You have a time-to-time knowledge check. You have exercise, so you can sign into Business Central and what action you need to do, and so on. So these are the courses it takes you through, and there are some XP points associated with that. Once you finish this, it turns into green. So you will realize that I have finished it. So that is quite helpful in here. But also in my plan, you must have noticed that before starting to the learning path, I did some background work. So what I did, I went into, we'll tell you here. So go into the Business Central. Yeah, I look at the capabilities. So I did some of the basic work because I was pretty new to it. So I looked at all these capabilities, what it does, what that product is about. Then you have to download the capability guide, which is really important. So when you actually download and open it up, let me just show you. It actually shows you really comprehensive guide about each and every capability and the title and also the description about it. And it's really good. Like if there are any architects on this call, it's really helpful for you to convince all the non-technical people and explain them what that covers. So I would recommend just have those kind of documents, read about it. And then it has somewhere you can find the learning self-guided tool, or this is a guided tool. I would say if you are new to it, just go through the guided tool. It's really, really good, very comprehensive. You can just start on it let me just note that. Start on all the elements here. You can click on a next step. You can click on the blue button. That's easy. And then continuously you go through individual modules, and it tells you what you do. So before even spinning up the trial license or trial environment, I would recommend you go through this capability so you can familiarize yourself into the screens, how that looks like, which area you need to click on it, every area highlighted, you click on it and it gives you drill down information. And that's how you can do actually full learning of it. So I hope that is useful. And now if I take you through further areas here. So some additional tips I would give. So like, learn about the types of companies it's set up and what are the, like in a company, what that data means. These are the basic stuff. It's already covered in learning path, but these are the stuff you always ignore it and say like, okay, who's going to ask this question? But for a functional consultant, you must know all these details. So that is really helpful when you're setting up a new company. You actually know what you're doing. Licensing, there are two types of licensing, essentials and premium. What covered in the essentials, these are the details you can gather from the licensing guide. You can also look at like what are the additional licensing functionalities available for premium. So premium includes all the capability from essentials, but also includes these additional bits there. And some, this is for the reference only, the why there are two type of license and cost difference. So if there are any architects who actually doing some sorts of analysis for the business and say or architectural impact analysis, you will need to know all these rate cards for your according to whatever the master level service agreement you have signed with Microsoft, and you have a dedicated rate card. Based on that, you can actually forecast the costing. Great. Before I go into the next one, I'm going to take you through a couple of things, and then we can open the floor for questions and do a quick demo. So there's a Microsoft Docs. So what I normally follow is go to the documentation page, go through this, say this is what I'm learning. I have a Business Central learning. If I go into this, it's not organized learning path, but I can see all the courses here. So these are the one I was talking about, 274 modules. So these are the modules. You have plenty of modules and they're all Business Central. So you have plenty of learning there, and go through individual ones. People do score it according to their content, and it gives you wealth of knowledge in this one. Okay, and how would you actually drive that as a product? It's in terms of filtering your courses. You could potentially just go on the Learn, and you can browse the full catalog. Go to Dynamics 365, click on Business Central, and it gives you that view as well. And you can actually access another areas as well. So that is really helpful. In terms of the documentation, there was a second link here, the first one. The documentation, this is actually, for me, it's been heaven, because I pretty much got every detail I needed. One for exam, the second for being an architect, I needed to learn how I can design Business Central within my entire solution, how I can do the integration, what is a dual write, how I can do the migration, and so on. So these are all the elements I started from this page. I also learned the roadmap from here. So what is there, what is coming up, what included within those waves, release waves. So that is a good learning curve here. And you can go through step-by-step learning, trial, how you can buy it, because your customer going to ask like, how I'm going to buy it. Okay, you demonstrated everything is absolutely fine. You got the trial license, you got the pre-sales activity done. Now it's time to implement it. How would you do it? So what needs to be buy? Because many time consultants get those questions and they get stuck into a number of things. One is a licensing. Second is how would I answer some of the questions which is not even asked? So like how much is going to cost, what type of licenses I need, and so on. So that's one of the area I would recommend you to look at it. And also like an individual area, so you can actually see like you can expand your knowledge about how you set up a salesperson. So you just go on it, there are videos available, and also like you have a trial license, so that means you can practice this stuff yourself. And as I said, like there are multiple contributors doing this and continuously updating it. And if there are something you found which is not right, you can give a feedback. So they will get back to you. And in terms of working with the business central function, this is all functional stuff. But if you now really keen on getting into more development, deep dive, this is a development and administration area here. Exam do ask about administration, not the development, because that doesn't cover into the syllabus. But it's worth looking into it. Because you might have a situation where customer is already on-prem version and now they're ready for moving into cloud. How would you do that? What are the help you get from Microsoft and how you can actually plan it? So this is all a really, really good wealth of information here. In terms of the licensing, before I jump into another area, I would always recommend to go to, say, here, where the pricing is displayed, down to the licensing guide. It's a bit like, maybe painful for some people because it's a lot of reading to do and understanding. I would say, like, this is more than technical. It's more like how good your English is and to understand the sentences. This is how I interpret it. But then, like, what is Business Central Essentials covers? What are the key, like, all the modules it covers, all the details you have, and so on. Like, you can go with all the doc references as well. What is a premium license covers, and there are some notes, which is quite important. You need to know that. Why I'm telling you this one? Because you might need this for, say, for example, there is a scenario-based question. I can't tell you the more detail because of the NDA, but in a scenario-based question, it could ask you that, like, I have a requirement of one accountant accessing outside of my organization. It's a third-party accountant. And I have this many licenses, what impact is going to be? So that kind of things, okay? So it's important you read it. It's a small, like in a small, maybe 1 or 2 pages maximum here. Yeah, it's about 1.5 page. I would recommend you read and have some basic knowledge on it. Great. I'm not seeing any. I'm just quickly going to look at any question. Is it possible to step up or step down from essential to premium or online or on-premises licenses? Okay, so in licensing is a big another world. What my knowledge is, you can step up easily. Step down, I would recommend you consult the right person. I'm sure when you actually step down, it restricts the functionality what you used to use, like you was using before, or your users were using before. Paul, do you have any information about that one?
Yeah. So this is the sad thing, right? So you cannot mix and match premium and essential. That's for a fact. Of course, stepping down or well, as far as my knowledge is concerned, you cannot really do licenses movement, of course, right? So when we purchase the premium already, then that's it. So again, as I mentioned, you cannot mix and match. So it's gonna be dependent on your tenant. So if your database is already created, or your production, or even a sandbox is already created on the premium, uh, in a way you purchase the premium already, then you cannot really roll it back, or in a way downgrade that.
Yeah, it is. It will not be a mix and match. It will be a straightforward. And team member license is also combination of either it might be the premium or it might be the essential.
Yeah. Fantastic. I think we got another question about the same licensing stuff, unlimited companies. To be honest, guys, this is not the licensing session, but if anyone has a knowledge, because it's sometimes really confusing, and particularly in a
Yeah.
community event, making a comment about licensing, it's a bit painful.
Yeah.
So,
I remember
if any misguidance.
I was in Ignite session, or yeah, Ignite session, then they're asking me about how to work around Microsoft licensing. So
Yeah.
I
And
was telling
most
them,
of the
oh guys, are you serious? Anyways,
uh,
just to answer this, sorry, Narayan and
Hmm?
Sairam, unlimited companies, does it mean I can have companies with different VAT in, or if I understand this correctly, is it the VAT setup? If yes, then yes. Unlimited companies has, you know, different, in a way, tables, so you can do whatever you want in different companies, different setup, different master data, etc.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It will be a different VAT setup, different according to the design which you implement in the company. That will be according to that. And if any consolidation is required in the master level, then you have to take care of consolidation part. Best example, chart of accounts. If multiple companies are consolidating, we need to verify the chart of accounts should be similar, or whether we can map somewhere somehow.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Narayan, do you have other things to show?
Not in the presentation, but it's just like, you know, if the time permits, maybe we can just
Yeah,
take through
sure.
a trial license setup. So, so like, you know, it was just only planned for the demo and then Q&A. So it wasn't really much in that one. I thought, like, you know, we might get a number of questions and we might be able to, like, you know, we might
Sure.
have to
So
skip this. But what
yeah,
you do, just for the trial setup, you can go to trial.dynamics.com and then just go to the Business Central. You can go for any of this trial, but make sure you select it. It's got the blue line on it. And then you provide your email address. So I'm going to provide one of my email, another email address. And don't follow this way, just provide your right number because they might send you the notification, but I'm just trying to show you the steps here. So you actually sign in with, if you have an Office 365 or Dynamics 365 license, because this one has it, you just sign in with the existing user, or if you have, let's say, Hotmail or Gmail account, then it will just convert into Microsoft account. It's pretty much like a B2C. So I'm going to say, and so in this organization, I don't have any Business Central. Oh, okay. Isn't currently available. You're correct. Because this company organization in UAE, that's why it's thrown me back. So make sure you use the right one, which is UK, US, and so on, the regions it's available in. So that is one of the key factor, but let me use my
that's
Gmail account.
very important. That's very important highlight actually, Narayan. The Business Central trial is not always available in any country. Since for example, here in the Philippines, not also available.
Yeah.
So we go to our CSP provider or CSP vendor in your region, and of course, if you're into CSP, like for example, Crayon or Ripe, etc., then that's the time you can only have 30-day trial for a tenant account.
Absolutely. If you get into this kind of problem, the one you are seeing at the moment, just make sure you open up a new browser because it might cache the area. Go into in private window, which is recommended. Go into that URL, select that, and like here, I'm going to put my Gmail account and start the journey. Now you can see that this is my Gmail account, and it does set up like, you know, in the next you can flick around. So it's just like, you know, it's a bit sometimes fiddly when you use the Gmail account or something, but it actually takes you to the create an account and then you set. It takes about I would say 10-15 minutes in my case, and then you can actually then go to login.business central. And then if I just put the one I actually did sign up, I'm just going to put that login here. This is one of the area I have actually figured it out, like, you know, found an issue where it just, even if you supply the correct password, it just doesn't want to play. No, it just doesn't want to play. So it just happens all this like some of the time, but you can actually go into different organization domain and then set this up. But what I'm trying to say is you just once it's set up, you will get one default organization or company setup, and then you just carry on with all your training. So that is, apology, it didn't go through as planned in terms of the signing up a new company. Maybe I can give a try on another my organizational email.
No worries. Narayan, there is a question here about certification. So it's from Angelica. So she said, which certification would you recommend to someone who is both finance manager, but also power user of Business Central and would like to develop general technical knowledge of the software?
So who is a both finance manager, but power user of Business Central? Unfortunately, at the moment, there's only one certification is available, as I showed you into the poster. So if I just take you back to this one of the slide. So there is no some sorts of administration certification available, but
MB 800.
MB 800 is the functional consultant associate. So that's the only certification is available. But if you want to have a combination of other certification, then there are various certifications available. For the Business Central, currently only the functional consultant. But what you could do, you could actually go through Microsoft Learn and then cherry pick the session the modules you want to learn. So here there are 274. Then what you can do, you can actually select the business user and it narrows it down. And you can select the beginner and then narrows it down. So on then you have 14 modules to select, and this is more spot on. So you can actually do that way. So at least you still have a learning. Okay, is there any other question?
Cool. And to add also, Angelica, if you're trying to develop general technical knowledge about Business Central, it's also better to do the get started with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. It's a good course, and there's a lot of YouTube video. I mean, as you can see, our speakers have also blogs, right? That you can go there. So blogs are for experiential learning, meaning they did that already. This one, what Narayan is showing us is really like the fundamental. It's very good as well for general knowledge. But if you want to get more deeper, it's always about going to the blogs of the community.
Absolutely, and I always this is the self kind of guided tour is quite really helpful. What I normally start, you can also have this a partner giving you the demo as well, just in case if you don't understand some of the learning. But when it comes to the partner, obviously they're looking at the sales target, so be careful with that one. And yeah, so that's one of the thing. Also, the other thing you can go is just go to the product page, and there releases lots of interactive details here. So see the capability, you can download those case studies, how the performance optimization, Business Central, all the essential details, and so on. And then you can do the deep dive on it.
All right.
Great.
All right. And yeah, excellent. Any other question? We still have more time. Cool. I have a question, Ryan. Like, for me, let's say for example, because as an entrepreneur, I handle. I have a Dynamics 365 focus company, and I want my team to be certified. So, what do you think is the best way for them to really put more time in learning, instead of always in a way solving problems in a project?
Sure. I think what I have done recently with one of the organization is being an enterprise architecture. I was actually defining the path to upskill um, all our team members because that actually adds return on investment as well. That's how you calculate it. So being an architect, I have that visibility. What we did, we actually provided some sorts of incentive in times, sometime incentive towards a courses. If we have the sales team visibility that like this type of projects coming in where we need the skill set, and also commitment from the individuals as well. Some individuals you don't want to force them into a learning deep hole where like they just get nervous or depressed. So it's more interactive session. So we incorporated like a weekly non-business, non-work specific meeting where we just discuss who learned something new, what they wants to learn, and how they're getting into the certification. Obviously, the organization bought a bulk exam vouchers, so that works out as really cost effective, and also it gives a retake as free in some offers. So you must look for those kind of stuff, bulk buying. And if you are a partner, you have those kind of vouchers you can purchase through your partner portal. And that's how you can give those to your employees and upskill them. So it's really helped, and it did motivate it. And now I can see like so first benefit is all the most of the employee got the certification. That certification literally helped organization to become a silver and gold partner. And also like it contributed towards a quality of the projects, because then when they come back with saying, okay, oh, I did this project where I'm only using finance stuff in Business Central, but now I know the manufacturing, I know the project management, and that's how it's elaborated. Some employee even gone step ahead and they spend their personal time towards it. It's a personal commitment. Like for me, myself, I do the personal commitment, but then I don't have to gain any approval from my managers. I just do it myself. And then once I gain it, I distribute the knowledge.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's very cool. I mean, in a way, we can really, have this deep understanding when not really, but confirmation of our knowledge when we go with learning and certification, right? Sairam, do you have any other question to Narayan?
Yes, actually, listening this is very good thing, and
Yeah.
self motivation is the most important thing in this, whichever the last point from Narayan.
Absolutely, yeah. This is very important. The other areas we added is like we added Confluence and Wikipedia. It's internal blogging where we just ask people to put anything, because sometimes people like the employees are very shy putting things in public. They say, oh,
Yes.
have I grammatically put it correct? Have I did the proper design of the page? Regardless of anything, we just open the floor up and say, okay, this is your internal blog or internal Wikipedia. Whatever you learn, copy paste it. Doesn't matter. It's fine. But as long as you're sharing. So sharing motivation. And also the one additional stuff I forgot, the organization can actually add some incentive towards their performance bonus as well. Some organizations do, some not. So I'm not saying like every organization must do, but this really helps individual employee to boost themselves up, saying like, okay, no, I have done this, and that actually give me even 0.0001%, but it still gives a contribution towards my performance.
And also, it will be boosting to the employee to move ahead and learning new things and capturing new things.
Absolutely,
It's not
yeah.
required. Yeah, it's not required for each and every employee or every company. But still, if employee is benefited in somehow, then employees by looking to one another, they will come ahead. That
Yeah.
is for sure.
Definitely. I remember one of those days when Power App Canvas app was very new. I had one of my developer came to me and goes, I've done something self-study and I know how to do the Canvas app. And believe it or not, we successfully delivered the project at that time, delivering some of the line of business apps successfully with that that small knowledge. It was a motivation to the business to introducing new technology. It was a motivation to the employee who delivered this, and also it added to their performance score.
Yeah, that depends organization to organization,
It
and
does.
self-motivation and self-learning is most important thing, not only for this company, in the future coming areas and location where we are going to move ahead, that company can be provided if you learn.
Absolutely. So you don't always rely, because my company is not offering, don't rely on that way. But at least you look at the positive side, that you
Yes,
gaining the knowledge yourself, and that knowledge could be really helpful in your next project, next challenge, or next even going for interview, or even you coming to this community event and sharing it. It still adds value. Um, so you can share your experience, knowledge, and so on. So it's really valuable. Knowledge is always gold.
Cool,
yes,
cool. Yeah, it's really, I mean, with Business Central and this ever-changing, landscape of Microsoft Business application,
Mm.
learning is really the key for us to be able to exist, right? Since every year Microsoft is changing something, like Dataverse, etc. Um, Even naming convention, right? From column to field, it's from field to column, right? From there are many changes that's happening. So this the as again as said by Narayan, it's really like, when doing the certification, it's really like upgrading your learning, because um terminologies are very important, even if we, just navigating the system. Sometimes we thought that the label of that particular function is still that, but when you're in a customer demo, it's always like that, right? so
Yeah,
so yeah.
absolutely. Mm. And another thing, just a valuable tip. So if you if there are any Ignite or Microsoft Business Application Summit, go for it. Register yourself. In some cases, Microsoft does offer a free exam voucher. So if you are thinking about your organization's not supporting you, and you don't have, you're not willing to spend that £160 or 100 and 130 something, the amount, whatever the amount. Every exam has a different amount. If you're not there and you still wants to give the exam, you still do continue with your self-learning. When the next event comes, register for it. They run two type of tracks. One is sometime you register and you give you free voucher. Sometime they actually do challenges. Like recently, Ignite had a cloud challenge. So if you do that track, you get free voucher to appear for exam. So it's worth it. Absolutely, study, 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 Steve. Definitely.
Okay, thank you, Narayan, for that wonderful session. It really gave us, a brief overview, or even a deep overview of, certification and inside Business Central and Dynamics 365. Yeah,
and
so
boosting
thank
Thank
you.
you
also,
very much.
Yeah, so
and
you can
boosting
paste
also.
your LinkedIn address here, so they
Um,
can, or URL, so they can follow you.